What should Christians do about war? The war in the Middle East, it is definitely escalating, and Israel is at the center of that war. But you know, the axis of evil, as somebody calls them, lay within Iran's leadership that have taken captive that nation, a religious sect, I believe, that are demonically inspired. As a matter of fact, they would rather see Israel destroyed and their own people than look after the interests of their own people. Well, good morning and welcome to Timeout this morning. My name is Jack Vint. I trust where you are that you're safe, that you're well, and that you've got a hot cup of coffee with you. Thank you for joining me. Now, people have asked, what should Christians do about war? And what does the Bible say about war that will make you and I feel better? So don't go away. I'm going to say something about that. Now, I don't know about you, but what do you feel when you hear all the rumors and the wars that are going on? What does that make you feel like as a person? Because maybe you can share that and what your experience is or what your opinion is. I'd love to hear that. But you know, for me, I feel this. I've always said that war affects everybody. It doesn't matter where you are. You may not be in the war, but socially, economically, financially, it will touch everyone. And it seems that war is spreading more than ever before. I'm going to show you how much it is spread, so don't go away. And that's why the pressure of war is affecting us. But what did the Bible say about war? Matthew 24:6, when Jesus was speaking to his disciples, he said, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars." I like to think of rumors as threats of war, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Another word for alarmed is troubled. That word troubled is also found in John 16:33, when Jesus said, "I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have trouble." So God warned us that trouble is coming. Now that word trouble is like stirring in your spirit, your soul, your psyche, and it really messes you up. And that's exactly what's happening in the world today. When we hear of all these wars, we can't stop them. Now, why did God say there's going to be wars and rumors of wars? The first thing is, He predicted it long before I was born and you were born. Long before we could have a say in it or do anything, He said there was going to be wars and rumors of wars. Now, you may ask, why does God allow this? And to me, there are many reasons, but one of them, the key reason, would be war is a sign that man wants to solve his disagreements without God. They're going to make their own peace, their own deal without God, and it's going to fail. We know that, but that's really why wars are there. And so I'm going to say something about that in a while, but before I do, let me just share what's happening currently in the world. People are trying to broker a deal, especially Donald Trump. President Donald Trump, he's trying to prevent wars, 2 major wars that were happening or are happening while he is the president, and they are affecting literally the whole world. And well, the Bible has something to say about that too, but we'll get there. Now, let me just speak about the war in the Middle East. It is definitely escalating, and Israel is at the center of that war. It's been in center of wars for many years because there is almost like a demonic inspired hatred to destroy Israel. And, you know, it was Syria, it was Lebanon, it was Hezbollah, Hamas, there's the Houthis. But, you know, the axis of evil, as somebody calls them, lay within Iran's leadership. Let me not say the Iranian people, but the Iran leadership that have taken captive that nation, a religious sect, I believe, that are demonically inspired. The same spirit of Hitler that wanted him to wipe out Jews and to conquer the world and destroy people for his own purposes resides in that leadership in Iran. As a matter of fact, they would rather see Israel destroyed and their own people than look after the interests of their own people. People have said that if they had to take care of Iran and its people, it would be a prosperous country today. But they're obsessed by making all these weapons and all their finances going to function, all these proxies that are fighting these wars on their behalf, all for the purpose of wiping out the people of Israel. Now, that to me is demonic. But that's what war is about. It is about a warring spirit that wants to destroy God's people, those that are created in the image of God. Doesn't matter who they are. War wants to destroy them, and that warring spirit doesn't really care who it is. Now, when it comes to peace, 1 Thessalonians 5:3 said an interesting thing. While people are saying, and this is about just before Jesus returns, but there's a similarity that's happening today, I feel. While people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come as suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. So it's almost like God is saying people are going to say peace, peace, and then sudden destruction. It's like people say we're going to have peace, and then the war is going to break out. And this is exactly what is happening with Iran. Now, it's saying it's got rumors of war, that it's going to attack Israel, it's going to attack America. But I do believe that it's not will America and Israel attack Iran, it's when. Because the cup of atrocities of Iran run deep, and there's going to be a judgment upon them. Unfortunately, innocent people will be involved. But that's what I believe in my heart. I'm just saying you may disagree, and it's fine. Write it in the comments if you disagree. But this is what's happening. And we could wake up tomorrow and there's a major war against Iran. Now, if I go to the other war that's happening, this is an interesting war. The war between Ukraine and Russia. It started between them. But you know that it has escalated in the last 3 years where so many nations have got involved. Maybe they haven't fought personally, but they have got interest in that war. From New Zealand, which is obscure, more sheep than people in New Zealand, from Australia, from many islands, to Scandinavia, which are normally quite neutral countries. They are also getting involved with the war in supporting Ukraine. And then you have the whole of Europe that are now basically invested in defending Ukraine. And there are many other countries, even Argentina. And, so it's like this war has spread to many, many nations and its effects. Now, you may think that just because they're not fighting, but they give missiles or aid, they are invested in that war against Russia. And in war, there's never a right and a wrong side. There's just casualties. Now, an interesting thing I noted that when I was thinking about this is in the similarities between World War II and what's happening currently right now in our world is that, two of the protagonists, in that World War was Japan, because they bombed Pearl Harbor and brought America straight into that war, and Germany through Adolf Hitler. It wasn't necessarily the German people who wanted that, but he indoctrinated them, and he eventually brought Germany into wars and wanted to destroy all the nations and conquer them. And we know what happened with Germany. And so after World War II, the Allies said, no, Japan and Germany cannot arm again. They can't become a force that will do exactly the same as what happened in history. And they were quiet. But slowly, I don't know if you noticed, Japan, they were always neutral. Now they've given a defense system to Ukraine to use against Russia. They're no longer neutral. They are arming themselves. And then there's Germany that for years didn't care. And all of a sudden, the last couple of years, they are working on their arms. They are working on their army. They are even sending missiles to Ukraine to send them into Russia. That means they're involved. They are rising as a nation that's arming themselves. Isn't that interesting? And all the other different nations. And so it's like that scripture says, while people are saying peace, peace, sudden destruction. Now you may listen to this and say, God said there was going to be wars, and it's because of people not choosing God's way but their own way, their own peace. True. But what can you and I do? The first thing I want to encourage you is don't be troubled, because that's the first reaction I have. I feel troubled, not just for my own situation, but for my children, my children's children. And then I think of the many innocent people that are involved. And then I think about God's plan for this planet. Surely that's not God's best plan for our planet. And so I want to say the first thing is don't be troubled, because it challenges you to say, are you putting your faith in the world, or are you putting your faith, Jack, in God? Don't be troubled. The second thing, you can pray. You can pray for Israel and the peace of Israel, because God tells us to pray. You can pray for all the peoples, that God would somehow be merciful to them and touch them. Never allow ourselves to become bitter and hardened because of war. We must be compassionate, because Jesus died on the cross for people. And thirdly, we need to learn to just remember that God has a plan that's bigger than the plan of man. And that plan will ultimately, I believe, bring peace. So I want to encourage you this morning as you go, don't be troubled. God's got this and He's in control. My name is Jack Vint. You've been watching Timeout. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. It'd be wonderful if you could leave a comment. I'd like to hear your opinion about this. Otherwise, I'm going to catch you next week. God bless you.